Hi everyone, welcome back to a new school year, and I'm going to take the next few minutes to talk to you about how to be successful in my class this year, because the way that you have had math class in the past may be a little different than what we're going to do this year. Now, you don't have to write anything down until I tell you, so I just want you to watch and listen. So typically, the way school works is that you have class, and that's where you learn your lesson for the first time. Then what happens is that you go home and you practice what you just learned in that class on your own. Now, in my years of teaching, I've seen that a lot of times students haven't really learned the lesson well enough that day to be able to go home and feel comfortable practicing the lesson, and they get frustrated and come to class confused. So what I've decided to do is flip that. So what's going to happen is that at home, you're going to learn the new lesson. Now, you're just going to use the video lesson that you'll watch as a preview so you know a little bit of information about what we're about to do. And then in class, what will happen is that you'll practice what you learned. And the good thing about doing that is that you'll have the luxury of asking a classmate for help or calling me over or a teacher over who's in the room to get help on something that maybe if you were at home, you wouldn't be able to get help from someone who can do it. So now what I want you to do is get your worksheet out and follow along with me. So you're going to fill in the heading, and this is going to go in the resources section. I've labeled it here, so that way when you put it in your binder, you put it in the correct section. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is that you're going to watch the video for understanding, not just to get it done. The lesson video that you'll watch is designed as a preview of the topic that we're going to talk about in class. We'll review what you've watched, I'll answer any questions, and we'll do some practice problems together. But I won't be teaching you like you've never heard the topic before, like maybe you have done in the past. My expectation is that you will walk in with a little bit of information about that class's lesson when we begin class. So you're not doing this to rush and make sure that it's finished so you can go play a video game. You are watching this to learn a little so that way when you come to class, you can be an active participant in the lesson, not just someone who is sitting in a seat watching everyone else do stuff. So 2 features that I want you to get familiar with is pause and also rewind. So these features on the computer are designed for you to stop if you maybe need a little bit more time to copy something that I've written, or if you didn't hear something or you want to hear something again, or you were distracted and kind of, spaced out a little and need to hear the part that you didn't get earlier. Sometimes I'll ask you to pause the video, and sometimes you might just want to do it on your own. Everyone always loves to ask about getting extra credit. So there are a couple ways that you can always get extra credit in my class. It's through these lesson videos, and it's by doing this thing that you have probably done in science, which is Raha. But we're not going to do all of the Raha steps, read, answer, highlight, annotate. We're just going to do these 3 portions. The first one that we're going to do is highlighting. So there's always going to be something on the lesson worksheet that is worthy of being highlighted. So highlight any formulas, maybe a definition, maybe, just something that you want to stand out when you look at your paper again, something you want to remember that you think you might forget. All those things will go into the category of highlighting. The second thing that you can get extra credit by doing is annotating. Now, annotating is when you make a little note in the margin or on the side, or a little note to yourself, something you want to remember, something you want to maybe explain a little more that isn't explained well on the paper, something you want to just go into a little more detail about, or a note that you want to remember. And the third thing that you can do to get extra credit is not in Raha, but it's in that same category, which is asking a question. And asking a question means that you write something down that you want to ask me when you come to class. Sometimes students will come to class and they'll say, oh, I had a question on last night's homework, but I don't know what it was. Well, that's not really helpful. So if you write the question down on your paper, you'll remember it for the next day when you see me in class, and you'll also get a little extra credit by writing a question that you have, like, how come you do this, or how do you know if you should do this or that, any type of question where you're going through a problem and you're not really sure what you should do or why you should do something. So the next important thing is that you want to fill in the worksheet completely. And what I mean by filling in the worksheet completely is that if I write something down, it's probably important, so you should write it down too. I know what I write down on the paper or on the computer screen, so I know exactly what you should have on your worksheet when you come to class and what it should look like and where it should be. So I expect you to copy everything exactly as I write it. And I will know if something's missing. Now, if your video is incomplete, undone, or missing, you will be required to do it during class time. Because as I said, the lesson video that you're watching is a preview of what we're going to be talking about the next day in class. So if you haven't watched the video, then you obviously can't participate in class that day. So I'll need you to take the first few minutes of class and catch up on the video. Sadly, that will get you behind. You'll be behind everyone else because we'll move on. We'll move on without you. And then when you're done watching the video, you'll have to catch up with us, and that's not really enjoyable. Now, if you're someone who is absent often, or even absent ever, this is going to be really good for you because you can do the video on lined paper and you never have to catch up when you come back to school. Now, I added in graph paper as well because, as I told you regarding your supplies, you should have graph paper at home, and when we get to our graphing chapters, you will be asked to do the graphs on graph paper. I don't accept graphs on lined paper. But even if you're absent, you can always come in the next day prepared, and that's a really good thing that a lot of students like, is that they don't have to worry about stressing out because now they have a lot of homework to catch up on. This also works if you forgot your worksheet at school. So let's say that you got the handout, but you left it in your locker. You can just grab a sheet of lined paper or graph paper and watch the video. You don't have to worry about not having your worksheet with you. I will never penalize you for completing the video on lined paper or graph paper because it actually shows a lot of responsibility that you said to yourself, I have to do this assignment and I left my paper at home or at school, but I want to complete it, so I'm going out of my way to get a piece of lined paper or get a piece of graph paper and take the time and complete the video so I come prepared to class. If you have a printer at home, you can also print the worksheets from the class website. They're under the chapter-related tabs. So you're more than welcome to do that as well. That's just an option. You don't have to. Now, number 6 is about doing the videos early. And what I mean by that is that if you're busy one night or you know you're going to be busy on Wednesday night, you can do the video Tuesday night. You never have to wait until that particular day to get it done. You'll know that we're working on lesson 2.3, so at some point I'm going to assign 2.4 coming up soon. So if you have a sports activity or you know you're going to your uncle's house for a birthday party and you don't want a chance that you might not get it done, you can always do it before it's due. Also, if you're someone who doesn't have easy access to a computer at home, I know not every single person has access or easy access to a computer. You can do several videos at a time. The videos aren't that long, so you can sit and do, 2 or 3 at a time, or even sometimes a whole chapter. Some people like to do that. That way it's out of the way, in order to get them done early so you don't have to stress about getting it done when it's due. And the last important note is that you want to use the video during class as a reference for similar examples. So the papers that you're going to get are not papers that you're just going to fill out and never look at again. I want you to have them out on your desk during class. So you should have whatever you're working on as well as the video lesson worksheet. Because the class examples are never totally unrelated to the lesson examples. They're usually somehow similar or connected. And I would like to turn you into a self-sufficient learner, where the first resource that you go to is a previous example. So you're saying to yourself, I want to see if I can figure this out by myself before I go and ask someone else. It's totally cool if you want to ask someone else for help, such as a classmate or the teacher. But the first thing that you should do in order to be a self-sufficient learner, which is what we all as teachers want you to be able to become, the first thing you want to do is say, let me see if I can figure it out. And that's going to come by you using your video lesson worksheets in class. All right, so hopefully we're going to have a great year this year. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and highlight or annotate them on your worksheet and ask me when you come to class.